Rebic, Rafa, tira, gol! Raffaele Leao! Oggi segna Leo! La mia giornata è iniziata così! Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, back after a week's absence. Thank you for holding the fort, AJ, while I was away.
Yeah, I'm gunning for your job, I guess. Yeah, I'm here. And Madison's not gunning for your job because he's not here, but lose one, pick up two. We got Gian and Steph with us.
What's up? I'm only here because of COVID.
Yeah, I was the last
one to come to.
So yeah, good to be back.
We can't catch it over StreamYard, can we? It's not. I don't think it's contagious digitally yet. This new
that kind of virus.
No. No, it's great to have a full house here, boys. Bit of a festive episode, I guess. Busy one still, because even though we've only got a game to review and no games to preview, we're going to do some fun stuff. We're going to look back through the predictions that we made at the start of the season, given that we're now at the midway point. And we're going to, talk about various things that we might have got right and a lot of things that we ended up getting wrong. So these are always fun. And then we got some listener questions. And of course, this is the last episode we'll record before the January transfer window officially opens. So we've got a little bit of a preview segment, I suppose, to do on that as well. So plenty to do. The boys made sure that we had that's one thing I will say. I think we were all a little bit on edge about this Empoli game. We went into it on the back of a defeat against Napoli, obviously. Still injury problems and stuff like that. And I guess all we can say in reflection is 22nd of December 2021 is when we realised that Kessie is the best attacking midfielder in the history of this club. Very, very effective performance from the big man in that number 10 role, doing the job, getting the 2 goals before half time. And then, we ran away with it and then showed a little bit of festive spirit to the end of the game
it
with
was
that late penalty.
Interesting goal scorers, this one. Kessie with a brace, obviously in the attacking mid role, but not a forward player most of the time. And then right back free kick goal, and then a left back goal as well. So it's nice that when our goal scorers don't exist, our defenders are able to score goals as well. And I think that was Florenzi's first ever free kick goal in his career, right?
That's right, yeah. So, and there's another thing we learned. Kessie is not only our best attacking midfielder, but Florenzi takes the best free kick as well. So we learned a lot on that night. I think it would be fair to say. And I think, do you know what? I'm glad that it was a bit of a barnstorming game and there was 6 goals and stuff, because that Napoli game was so bland in comparison that we needed something to get us a little bit, a bit of momentum going into the break, let's say, and before the window opens and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I will dedicate majority of this review to the decision to play Kessie in the 10 role. I think personally, we all laughed at it when it came out, when Sky was saying it, and then when Milan News confirmed it and stuff, saying, what the hell is he thinking here? But in actual fact, I think it worked for sort of 3 reasons, really. The first one being that he was a good physical presence to have in and around the edge of the box, something we've kind of been lacking while Brahim's been off form. Secondly, it pinned their main guy, which is a young regista called Samuele Ricci, who's a really good player, to be fair. He sort of plays at the base of their midfield, and Kessie had him covered. Then the other thing is, Tonali and Benacer, neither of them had outstanding games, but what they are good at doing is moving the ball forward pretty quickly. And they could get it to the guy who established a presence in the final third. So overall, I think we can tick that one off as a good experiment.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result of that. No complaints there. I think the only thing I'm annoyed about is the Bakayoko handball. It's just like,
oh God!
Once again, every time this guy plays, he has an error that leads to a goal one way or another. It's kind of ridiculous, his form. But yeah, besides that, even that didn't upset me too much, because we were still at that point up 4-1, and then afterwards 4-2. So it was like whatever. But yeah, just silly goals we keep conceding. We need to stop doing that and get better. Unless we want to score 4 every single game, then it doesn't matter, I guess.
Anyone here going to put a word in for Bakayoko and say that it was a harsh handball call?
Yeah. Oh, no,
Me?
sorry. No.
You think it was fair?
Sorry.
But I don't know. Maybe they're just kind of making the rules up as they go along. But my understanding was that the arms had to artificially increase the volume that the body takes up. And as the ball hits him, he's pulling his arm across his chest, so it wasn't out by his side, it wasn't up out here. And I did see the guy that they
kind of like that.
Like he was pulling it in. It definitely wasn't up. He was pulling it in. The one thing is that when they showed the side on angle, and this is only for our YouTube viewers, it was kind of out like that. So yeah. Okay, maybe I've seen, but they have two guys who do the. Go on, sorry.
No, you're fine. My issue with that is like you see it's like this, and he goes for the header. So if the hand's not there, it's hitting the head. You know, it wouldn't like whether his hand was up or not. The way the play went wouldn't have changed. You know, like it. Yeah, I mean, it would have been headed just fine. But I do think it's a handball. One thing though is I think it was Juve got away with the exact same thing earlier this season.
We'd probably want it if it happened against us.
I was literally just about to say that. I've seen a lot worse calls given against us and probably given for us, but if that were the other way around and we needed it to get back into the game and that wasn't given, we'd probably be sitting here blasting the referee for something that was... It's 50-50, more 60-40 for me. I'm not angry about it. The only reason why I was because the corner got overturned and it nearly cost me £100. But other than that, it happened.
Forgot that.
Do you think because of Bakayoko, he's got this sort of like a bit of a klutz profile that he can make mistakes, that he's kind of profiled by referees by it, like kind of like Bonucci has it sometimes, that like the ref will give a pen because it's the profile as opposed to actually like consistency in like refereeing decisions. They might target him.
That's something I think about often because you look at it even with penalties or not penalties. You see it with guys like Neymar who have this profile of flopping, even when he's not flopping. Sometimes the refs don't give him the benefit of the doubt and just say, "Oh, you probably flopped," or guys who are a bit more fiery, and there's not contact and someone goes down near him, they'll be like, "Oh, that was probably hit him," it's a card. You do see that bias a lot, and I think Bakayoko might be kind of victim of that, but also I'd say 9 times out of 10 it is his fault.
Yeah, he's a clumsy player, but it's the same time. I think like his profile does allude to that. So refs are kind of like, yeah, he's probably done that on purpose, or I don't know. It's just, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was, a goal that they clawed back. The game was done by that point anyway, but they're the home side, so they probably the ref kind of wants to give them a decision because they just got their asses handed to them for 4-1 at the time. So yeah, I don't know. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big, but then saying that, how many penalties have we conceded compared to the ones that we've gotten this season? So I'm hoping the second half of the season we'll get a bit more luck in that regard.
Yeah, AJ, you've got something to say about this.
7.
I think we conceded 6 or 7. I think, yeah.
Yeah, this one with Bakayoko was a 7th. We've had 4 given to us. Last season we had 20, and we were top of the league in penalties received by a good margin. I think second place had 15, but everyone complained and said that was the only reason we were up there. But we're in this exact same position we finished last season. We're on more points at this point than no, we're not. I apologize. We're 2 points shy of this time last season, but we're still in second with a lot less penalties, and Inter has more. Napoli has more. All the teams that are.
I've got the stats here. Inter have received 9 this season. They've conceded 3. Napoli have received 7. They've conceded 1. Juventus have received 5. They've conceded 1. So yeah, we're sort of, I like to, the people who were saying a lot of crap last season, eating their words this year when it comes to our sort of preferential treatment from the refs.
Also, I think the biggest thing there is all those teams have only had a very small amounts of penalties against them, significantly less than they've received. Whereas we're the exact opposite. So we got the uphill battle, and we're still only, however many points off the top. It's actually impressive.
Yeah. I tweeted a stat out earlier, and I mean I've mentioned on here before my feelings on XG and stuff, but 10 of the 22 goals that we've conceded in the league in the first half of the season, those shots had an XG of below 0.2. So you add it all up, and from those 10 shots, we should have conceded 0.91 XG, and we conceded 10 goals. So that is a massive indication that we've actually been pretty unlucky. But then at the same time, the the football head in me says, well, it was a shot that went in, so you can't complain about it, you know. But I think it just goes to show maybe there are things that we got accused of getting the rub of the green with last season, but now, if anything, we're actually kind of battling against the tide a little bit. And I mean, we'll mention a couple more things before tops and flops, although one of these might condition it. I've got to give this one over to the Alexis Saelemaekers fan club in the bottom two positions there.
Hello.
Let's just go ahead. He had a hand in all 4 goals. He played on the left. He looked amazing. Like, where the hell did that come from?
That's why we appeared, by the way.
Yeah, you're leaving us after this segment.
But go on, Gian, you take it away.
Oh, I don't even know where to start with that little king. No, in all seriousness, his performances have been this season a bit, but it's nice that he's getting the recognition he kind of deserves after the performance last week. The skills that he was showing, the passes, the runs, it's stuff that we'd pointed out last season and how effective he was. But the only thing that kind of he needed to improve on was his stats, even though that's not all about football. But obviously that's helped him a little bit, and it's kind of opened the light. And then I've seen people say, oh, it was just a relegation side and stuff like that. But, you know, the sat mid-table, top half of the table, sorry, he had a very good game. But I suppose in a way it was just Empoli. We'll have to see if he can carry it on, which I hope he does. But I think the addition of Messias on the right wing, giving him some competition, has made him up his game a lot this since Messias got that goal against Atletico and then the double in the league a couple of days after. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can't really, like, you got to take it a game at a time. Like, you can't just think, all right, he did a good game against Empoli, he's back to being his best, or like, well, a great player that how me and Gian see him, for example, and has always potential he can bring with that. He needs consistency with this, and I think he's showing. And even when he came off the bench against Napoli, he was willing to take on players. You know, that nutmeg against Sanguisa, and then he's doing more than just, you know, what the other players are doing. Especially when we haven't got Rebic and Leao, we don't have any other players who can take on a man and beat them for speed or trickery. Alexis can't beat him for speed, but he can, you know, he can maybe do a little bit of an interplay with, you know, certain players, triangle passes and an occasional nutmeg. So he does offer that, and he had a great game. Took his part in all 4 of the goals. And I think, you know, I've said it multiple times on Twitter, I don't want to go on about it, but you need to give him as much praise as you do criticising him. And he's overly hated, unfortunately, on the platform. But I guess performances like that are a quick way for me and Jan to just say, you know, just shut up and support the team, support any player. And no, honestly, like, even players like Fernandes, you know, given a lot of crap, he puts that free kick away. I know we all want to see players like Kalulu play because he's great, he's young, and he's got this potential in the world. But there's a reason why we signed him, and he's not a bad player. We're talking about a guy who played a lot of years for a decent Roma side, you know, PSG side that got to the semi-final and I think the final of the Champions League. I don't know if he was around for that, but anyway. So he's been, you know, the Euro. He won the Euros with Italy, even though he played a bit of a bit part. He's a good player, so we need to support these players, experienced or young, and hope for the best. We can't just, you know, look at a starting lineup and think, oh, negative because we want to play another player instead of him. Like when Saelemaekers was getting played instead of Messias, it's support whoever's on the pitch, isn't it?
I think.
Do we think that with? Go ahead.
Oh, I think with Salah last season, he kind of didn't get as much hate as he is now because you had the output of Leao, you had the output of Rebic, Ibra scoring goals. So Salah could just do his natural game, which is why we were so successful last season in pressing, at defending. It helped Calabria explode. But now because you've got the injuries to, you know, Giroud, Ibra, Rebic, Leao, and he's seen as the only attacker on the pitch. That's why he's getting a lot more hate because he's not putting it up. So he's having to carry a bigger burden as well as doing the job that he did so well last year. And I think that just kind of took a bit of a negative impact on him. But now, hopefully the Empoli game and players coming back and he can just go back to his normal game and then chip in with a few goals and assists, people will start to appreciate him more. But I think, again, I said it to Ollie a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember if it was in the group chat or just general talking. He is only 22 and it is only his 3rd season here, but 2.5 kind of. And we've waited 3 years for Leao to explode. And we know, I'm not saying he's got the same ceiling as Leao, but with young players, you do have to give them a bit of patience. They all explode at different parts. They can all take time to come in. But there's a reason why we gave him a contract extension. There's a reason why, you know, right wing is not our top priority. And he's always in the starting 11. And he's played a part in every single game this season, which in what has been a tough first half, a lot of games, I'd say it's pretty remarkable, like it is with Tonali, that he's played so many minutes too.
Yeah, at the very least, he stays healthy, and that's more than anyone else in the squad could say right now. So that's a big plus. But do we think, and I know the sample size was obviously just one game against Empoli, but playing inverted wingers, do we think that is a positive for our system? I mean, it obviously looked great this time out. Do we think that might be a method going forward? I actually really like the way he looked on the left. Granted, Leao and Rebic are supposed to be back for the Roma game, but in the event that they're not again.
Do they not count as inverted wingers, though? I mean, do you mean like the weaker foot as opposed to the winger? Right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Like, I mean, Rebic
because I think if Rebic and Leao come back, we'll probably play them on the left instead of Saelemaekers, you know?
Yeah, but then I think, like I've always alluded to this. I think if you have, especially like a Leao, you can't play. I can't see Macias and Leao working at the same time because they're both so like offensively based. Especially when we're playing against a side like, say, for example, Roma when we return. They're going to do a bit of damage to our wing play. So we need one of them to be a bit more balanced on the defensive end. So I think that's Saelemaekers. So
yeah, and I agree with that. I think Saelemaekers is a lot better defensively than Macias, but I do think Macias has a defensive output, and I don't think he needs to have one. In fact, I've criticized him for doing it before. His first game, he went back and gave up a penalty when I thought, well, you shouldn't have to be going back anyways. But we have seen it quite a bit when he's played that he does get back into our final third and attempt to win balls back, or actually does win the ball back. So I think he has a defensive output, but I mean, Sally was originally a right back, so he's obviously better in that department, and it makes more sense, especially with Leao playing.
I think some games you're going to have to differ between Sally and Macias. Like in a game against a relegation side, go ahead, throw Macias on at right wing, who can just terrorise a weak defence and create lots of opportunities. But then when you're playing, the top end teams that kind of like to play out from the back that are offensively stronger, that's the games where you put Sally in, who does the dirty work up front and helps us press and things like that. I think it's nice to have two players with that, different traits. And I said this last year that we do need a new right winger, but we need someone totally different to Alexis, someone that's like a layout, and then we need that on the left wing. So if we're playing like the offensive right winger, then go ahead and play your more defensive left wing, a bit like Krunic, but obviously someone with a higher skill set.
I think Macias is going to perform best against, like you said, those weaker teams like the La Liga champions, Atletico Madrid.
Exactly.
There's a point in this as well, though, that I think the Empoli game proves that we can play matchups. I think Pioli's quite good at looking at opponents and saying, this is what we have to do to win the game. And I think we did really well against Empoli because Empoli are no mugs. Like, we reeled off some of the teams that they've beaten in the preview. They've had a fantastic return to Serie A. I think we're all surprised to see them in the top half of the table, and fair play to what they're doing on a lower budget than a lot of the teams around them. But I think Pioli looked at it and said, okay, we can play an inverted winger in this game and we'll have him drift inside. We can play Kessie there because it's going to give us a bit of presence and it'll neutralise them playing through the back. That gives us the space to get Macias one-on-one, and he did get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. Some games he'll take those, some games he'll be wasteful. Unfortunately, he was wasteful on the night. Giroud had a little bit of joy. I mean, it still wasn't his best performance for me, but we had a dynamic sort of double pivot that was really good because they play a midfield diamond. I think you can just build the team from the back forward and sort of say he'll be best for this game. And I think he coached a really good game, to be honest. And I was actually impressed with Empoli, I must say. I don't think there's anything particularly false about their position. They've got a lot of talented players. They
picked up a lot of points against teams we dropped against. They got. Yeah. I think they beat Napoli. They beat Sassuolo, Fiorentina, Juventus. All the teams we dropped points against, bar Inter, they got. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to like about their team, and as I say, I thought they actually were pretty damn good. They had plenty of opportunities. They hit the corner of post and bar, that could have made it 2-2 just after half time. So moments like that, there were some standout players as well. I thought that Bayrami looked pretty damn good.
And their first goal, I forgot the guy's name who scored it, but I mean that was a banger. It was a great goal. Was it Bayrami? Yeah. Yeah, it was a great goal. I actually missed it live because I went to refill my coffee or whatever, and then I heard the scream, but then I watched it back in the review and I was like, wow, that was a great goal. That's the type of goal that typically we crumble after conceding. We go, okay,
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that we didn't.
Dan, do you want to talk about Manyan?
Oh
No,
Nah.
no.
I'm
No, I
going
bet
to
not.
give him benefit of doubt. I know some of these goals have been a bit, I don't know, but I think benefit
I think
of doubt.
he was rushed back.
Yeah. I think, he's going to concentrate on his craft, this little two-week break we got here. And I still think the guy's still quality and he's going to just have that bit more focus. It's going to take a bit of time, but yeah, I think.
I mean, up until he conceded these 2 goals, he had the highest save percentage in the league by a good margin. And after these 2 goals, he's just slightly below Handanovic, like a decimal of a percentage. Like he's just slightly below him. So he's still up there. Granted, he's played significantly less games because he missed half the season so far. But yeah, I think he came back from injury a little too soon. And yeah, just a little bit rusty, but he'll get back.
It was a bit of a game of goalkeeping howlers as well. I mean, that one that went through the legs was not great, for Kessie's second goal.
Yeah.
That's rough,
Yeah.
Sorry, Gian.
Part of me does think he got rushed back a bit early, but then it's not like a outfield player where you can, kind of mask the pain and get through it. When you're using your hands as a goalkeeper, you know the pain you feel, and you can't really use it as an excuse if you're willing to play on and potentially cost the team goals and points by having weak hands or not being fully fit. Just be open and honest with it. Tata kind of came, Tiramisu, came up trumps a bit for us. When he were injured, Jerry had a couple of shady performances, but he was doing an okay job. And I just think Manyan, if he has been rushed back early, he should just be like, yo, I'm not ready, guys. Just give me a couple more weeks, because some of the mistakes he's made in the last few weeks have been absolute howlers. Stuff that we've killed Tatarusanu for. Just unacceptable. Like the one against Liverpool where he just bats it to Divock. It's hard to justify them kind of mistakes.
I picked him out a couple of times during that Empoli game in the chat as saying Mike's rebound trolls still went off. The one shot at the near post where he palmed it back out into a dangerous area, and I was like, no, have you not learned your lesson from the Liverpool game? Like, you tip it round or you catch it or you tip it up. You do anything to make sure that ball doesn't fall into a dangerous area. But, I mean, my God, he's still a good goalkeeper. I think this break will do him... This break will do him time, doing well. I think once he gets back into training as well, maybe some drills in particular on handling and just leathering shots at him to make sure he knows how it feels again.
And rebound is also not always something you could control. I mean, you could definitely guide it, but not always. Like 7 or 8 times out of 10, you got a bit of control in there. But there's some that come in too fast, too quick that you just got to get a hand to it, and you can't really dictate where it's going to bounce back. So, and I think some of those have been unlucky, like that Origi one.
If he's fumbling the ball from corners, I'd be worried. There's no confidence in the guy. Kind of Dida sort of confidence up and down all the time. I'd be like, oh shit, the guy's been phased by this injury. But these are things that probably just when you've been out of the game for a couple of months now, he's just a bit rusty. And I think. Yeah, but
it's been, to be fair, he has also been back nearly a month now. It's probably been back. What is it, 4 or 5 games?
Yeah.
But remember his
original injury return wasn't until next month.
Oh yeah, I know, which is why I say fair enough, but we can't use that as an excuse 1 month later on, or when he's still willing to play and stuff like that. It's hard to use it as an excuse.
But also look at the games he returned for. I mean, he kind of was thrown into the gauntlet immediately, which to be fair is what we needed him for.
Yeah. He was rushed back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And also,
when was it? Was the Fiorentina game the first game?
No. I think
I'm just trying to.
I think it was Sassuolo, maybe. I think.
It was Sassuolo. Yeah.
I think Fiorentina was. But I think it's just.
I'm just trying to be a bit fair. Obviously, we killed Tatarusanu for them kind of mistakes. You could argue Tatarusanu last season were rushed into it against Roma when Giroud dropped with COVID, and then
100%,
he had them couple of howlers, and we slammed him for it. I'm not saying Manyan's a bad keeper. I think he's fantastic, but we do need to start questioning some of the saves he's making. It's been 3 or 4 games where, like Ollie said, now he's had his shots rebounded into dangerous areas, which could have led to goals or had led to goals and stuff like that.
And I agree with that. But my only counter is when you have like comparing good and bad players getting slated. When a bad player makes a mistake, they're going to get a lot more criticism because that's consistently what they're doing. When a good player makes a mistake, they get a little bit more leeway because you're like, all right, we know this isn't your norm. It's a mistake.
Don't it work the other way, though?
Like you said,
you hold the good players to higher standards.
Yeah,
I agree with that
personally.
But I also know that, not everyone's going to be perfect every single day. And every now and then, if I've seen 90 great performances and I see 10 bad ones, I'm not going to be as upset about those 10 bad as I would.
Yeah, he's got more credit in the bank.
Yeah,
exactly.
The whole point is that.
But on the flip side of that, when a bad player does great, like Tatarusanu, who's keeping that clean sheet and beating Atletico, you have to big up him, and you have to big up him more than the good player when they have a good performance because that's their norm, So it does go both ways.
With Mike, I think it's just a victim of everything that's happening with the club in like a lot of players right now in the last month. They're all making mistakes. It's not just Mike. Brahim Diaz is having crap games. Kessie's making mistakes. Tomori even made a mistake against Liverpool. Like, it's happening to everyone because I think it's just when it rains, it sort of pours with these mistakes, and it can seep into even the consistent players like Mike. And I'm hoping we all said it. A bit of time off.
I think we're protecting Mike and Diaz a bit more because of who they've replaced and how much we want to hate Giroud and Hakan. Like, we really want to hate them. So I actually think we're protecting Diaz, and maybe not Diaz so much, but Manyan certainly we're protecting him a lot more because of who we've let replace, and we don't want to be affected by that when we have
a little bit. Yeah,
we have lost a world-class goal.
Now that is actually a really good point. I'd not even thought of that. That is a good point.
It's just that the timing is crap because Diaz's poor form has come when that other melt has been smashing it, against relegation.
But then it was the other way around. I mean, he scored 4 goals in his first 9 games. Did Brahim Diaz? 3 of them were match winners, while Hakan had got 1 assist in the same stretch, and that was it. So it swings and roundabouts. And if we have the strongest second half of the season, we'll win the league. It's that simple. So we'll see. We'll do tops and flops for this game and then move on. I'll open up nice and easy. Top was Kessie, responded to criticism really well, played his role really well. And I'm picking him because I know you two at the bottom are picking Saelemaekers. So Frank, enjoy that crown.
To be honest, I got to go Saelemaekers as well. I mean, he had a part in every goal. Granted, I don't think winning a free kick in the way he did is like down to skill or intention. It's more like you just got fouled,
exuberance,
got attacked in a great area. But I mean, he had a part. If he wasn't there, he wouldn't have been fouled there, and we wouldn't have scored the free kick. So it's still down to him. And you got to go Saelemaekers here.
Yeah,
and then you two are going to agree. No, you've got to pick someone different now, boys. That's the rules.
Yeah,
we've got
they're off the board. You can't pick them.
Manyan for my man of the match, then.
Great play.
If someone different, I'll go Florenzi, but gone.
I mean, I will throw in there. Teo looked a bit brighter. There was some shoots of recovery there from him. Florenzi was great. Romagnoli had a good game again. Even though we conceded twice, got on. Bear in mind, one of them was a penalty, and the first goal was a ball that dropped into a loose area, and probably was Manion's fault if anybody. I don't think anybody had an absolute stinker, to be honest. But moving into flop of the match. This is actually pretty difficult. I'm going to say Messias, and I know it's harsh, but I feel like he was the one who it really clicked for. He got himself into shooting positions on 2 or 3 occasions and didn't take advantage of them.
He had our first shot on target of the whole match.
Okay, wow, what a goal it was.
You're saying he didn't take advantage of his positions. I mean, he had a shot off on target. It just got saved.
Did he score with it?
It got saved. Sometimes the keeper gets there. It's
we
okay.
Work off stats on it.
I'm sorry, mate. What was the XG on that, my friend? No, there were a couple of them. I remember a couple of his crosses that went way past the far post. Yeah, that's probably true. But it's kind of hard to pick a flop. Is my point on that? But yeah, go on.
Not for me, Bakayoko. Just that's my flop.
Shit, I forgot
think we
about
all know
him.
why. Yeah, he didn't play enough, and somehow he's still stuck out like a sore thumb. So, not for me.
I've forgotten about him, to be honest. So that was a good pick, lads. Do you remember?
I'm trying to pick someone.
It's a struggle.
I don't know.
I'm surprised we went 30 minutes on this.
I'm probably going to go Messias, man, because I don't know. I guess when we score 4 goals and you're not really involved in any of them, maybe. I don't know. It's just I think a lot of players have good games.
I think I'll just have to go for.
Get to go what?
Bakayoko just for conceding the penalty.
Yeah, so we've got a Desmond 2-2 on that. Oh no, RIP Desmond 2-2 as well. Great man. Right, so now this is the segment of the show where we will move on to. In fact, let's do the mid-season moments first before we go back to the predictions. We can do this as kind of a quick fire round if you want.
Real quick before we move on, according to Who Scored, Macias had a higher rating than 6 other players on our team that game. So just wanted to point that out.
I mean, I don't really listen to
Well,
but if you want to do that, then that's fine.
I got to defend my boy.
No, that's fine. Mate, an agenda's an agenda. That's absolutely fine. We get it. Right, so there's just 6 questions. We can do it, like I say, as a quick fire. Just on Milan. I sent it in the chat.
John had enough Macias propaganda.
No, I'm sure he'll come back. I'm sure I'll be back. We've got to go on with it, though, obviously. So who has been the player of the season so far for Milan overall? We can do it in order, and I'll start with Tonali. I think that in terms of how the expectations were at the start of the season, we were worried he might have another struggle to begin the season. After he struggled to adapt a little bit during his first season, he's answered all the critics. He's been fantastic. He's been our most consistent midfielder moments, and he seems to really come of age. I'll go with him as player of the season so far.
Steph, you want to take it?
Am I going next?
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. I'm going to go for, just to be different, I'm going to go for Rafael Leao because I gave him a lot of stick last season. I think he's been pretty much the main source of our attack when Rebic went down. Giroud been inconsistently injured. You know, I was talking about the form of Saelemaekers. Macias only really came into it in October. Leao's literally just been spearheading our attack, and he's kind of like the only player that's got that explosive mentality to attack players. Although, I mean, Tonali's a close second, but I'm just going to be different and say Rafael Leao because I think he's exploding this season, and we're seeing the coming of hopefully the spark of what we need to win the Scudetto, which is that guy who is just giving you that different edge in the attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had my person in mind, and I just pulled up player ratings just to kind of cheat and see like what those are. I know we just talked about the scores being dumb, but it's amazing how much one game could sway someone, because like this has Kessie as our top person, and it's solely because of that last match where they gave him like a 9.5 because everything else has been awful. But for me, it's got to be Tomori. I think he's been the most consistent, and he's bailed us out of a lot of stuff. So definitely Tomori is my player of the season so far.
Mm-hmm. Gian? Hello? Is he frozen?
Yeah,
I think he's frozen. Go.
He's just been the most consistent. He's been a rock at the back when other players have kind of fumbled, made mistakes. He's always been there.
Great.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, don't worry. Flop of the season. Oh, he's gone again.
Flop of the season's John's connection.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Flop of the season. This is a bit more of a tough one because obviously we don't like to single out players and say they've been awful. I think we all expected a bit more from Bakayoko though. He came in and we knew he had an important role to play given that we have Kessie and Benacer leaving for AFCON. He's basically the guy that with Tonali we were pinning a lot of hope on. And we actually negotiated for a long time to bring him back on like a formula that was convenient for us, a 2-year loan, paid loan. And he just hasn't really delivered so far. And now we're heading into next month talking about potentially signing a midfielder because that's how much the trust has gone down. So I'm going to have to say Bakayoko on this.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that was, especially with the formula that we have, I think everyone knew right away that we weren't going to activate the option. It's just ridiculously too high. But I also think, like you said, there's just a lot of pressure on him to be able to perform. And he simply hasn't. Granted, the minutes aren't really there either, so it is harsh. But every single game he's played, he has made an error leading to a goal, and that's not hyperbole. That's a genuine stat, and that's probably the worst stat you could ever have attributed to your name. So he's got to be it.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I liked Bakayoko coming back initially, but then I didn't really see the pressure because there's so many players in this position that are going to start above him. And obviously we've got players out on loan who I sort of would rather come back and play ahead of him. But I think with pressure, there comes a level of disappointment. And even though I really liked it when we signed him in the summer, I've been a bit disappointed with Giroud. Even though he's gotten a few goals, I just think with the injuries, the whole point of us getting him in was so we have someone to rely upon when Ibra's not there, and he's been injured when Ibra's been gone. And it's a hard one, I think. And since his first injury, I think it was the back injury he got at the tail end of August or September, he's not really looked the same, and he's been very static in play. That first game against Cagliari, I think it was, he looked quality. 2 goals in that game, and I thought to myself, he's going to probably hit around 15 to 20, 15, 20 goals to see if he gets those many games. But I thought he'd be on a few more goals than he is right now. But I put a lot of hope on him getting a lot of our goals so far this season. And it's actually not really been him. We've had to overly rely on players like Rafael Leao and players I didn't quite expect us to rely upon, like Macias and Brahim Diaz, or even some of the midfielders. I've just not really been, I don't know. I think that's why a lot of us are probably looking at other strikers in the market and going, oh, can we? Whereas I thought us signing him was us sorted for another, year and a half. Now I'm looking at it going him staying here is now detrimental for us bringing in a younger profile who probably should be getting his minutes. So
yeah, especially after the start of the season. I mean, he banged in 4 in the first 3 or 4 games, and he looked great. And we all thought, wow, we really did it. This is what we needed. And then, like you said, he got injured and he just hasn't returned well.
Yeah.
And Zlatan had to play, 4 or 5 full 90-minute games in a row.
Yeah.
The
and now
reason I signed him was to avoid
almost
that.
Put the pressure on Pellegrini now to be this. Now you got to be fit, and we know how crap he is with his fitness. And now it's we've got 3, unreliable strikers, centre forwards that we can rely upon regarding their fitness. And we know Ibra's probably gonna, I think he's gonna extend for another year. He probably will do, which I'm a bit sort of not sure about. I still love him, but I thought he was going to tweet her out and Giroud would turn into the next Ibra, and we get a younger striker. And then now that doesn't really look like it's going to be the case next season, which I'm a bit sort of where are we going to move with this sort of striker department? And it's really detrimental.
How long is the Giroud contract?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. So
2 years with an option, I think, but by that point he'd be 38.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's going to have the same longevity. He's never had the same freakish physique that Ibra has. He's definitely more of a movement-based striker. So yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. He also has not scored an away goal yet, Giroud. All of his goals have come at San Siro. So we need.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, he scored all his goals at home.
He scored 2 against Cagliari, 1 against Hellas Verona,
1 against Torino.
You're right. For some reason, I had it in my head all his goals were away.
Yeah,
it's like Ibra. Ibra hasn't scored at home since the Lazio game.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
So that's
and I had them.
So we know what to do then. Moving forward, we just try and get them both fit at the same time, and then so we'll lump this into one because I'm looking at the time. Best signing and worst signing from the summer. Obviously, the summer transfer window. For best signing, would it be cheating to say it's Tomori? Obviously, we activated his option to buy, and I just think if we bought him for 28 million, he's now looking like a 60, 70 million euro centre back at least. If I had to go for a new,
do a new signing. I think we should do a new signing. I don't know if we should do Tomori or Tonali. I think that's a bit, what I mean. I think it's a bit more fun to do a new signing because there's not really. It'd be interesting to hear your answers.
Yeah. Now I have to try and remember who we signed.
So we signed obviously Bakayoko.
Florenzi, Ballatore, Bakayoko.
There's only one obvious answer here.
Menyan.
Oh, Mike, yeah.
Well, probably Mike.
I mean, that's really it. That's
the rest of kind of.
Yeah, you got to back your boy.
the rest aren't great to pick.
Macias and Menyan are the 2 guys I backed. I mean, I bought a Menyan jersey before he even played for us, which was a very ballsy move. But yeah, I mean, if we're allowed to pick old players, then I have to say Tomori because I picked him as my player of the season so far. But if we're not, then I got to go Mignon. I think his impact, even injury considered, has been bigger than Macias. Obviously, Macias got us our only dub in the Champions League, but ultimately it was for naught because we finished 4th. So it doesn't really matter. Hey, there he is. But yeah, I'm gonna go Mignon because without Mignon, we're looking at Tata Rashani was our starter goalkeeper for the season. I mean, the gap that Mignon filled was significantly bigger than Macias being back up to Saelemaekers or one of the other signings. That's the only real starter we signed.
Yeah. Worst signing, I'm going to do Pellegrini. I think that we need to stop getting into our heads that we owe it to injury-prone players to try and rehabilitate their careers in some way. I just think that was actually... I probably didn't criticise it at the time because we maybe all thought that something else was going to happen, or we maybe envisaged a situation where, well, if Ibra and Giroud were injured, Rebic should be playing up front anyway. Or if he wasn't and it was Pellegrini, then it would be because he's hit the ground running a bit more. In actual fact, it's just not worked out for him, unfortunately. And I say this sort of heavy heart because it's injuries. It's not like he's played loads of minutes and just been shit. But I think, I'm going to put in worst signing because obviously I can't pick Bakayoko again. Really. I mean, I could. I'm going to go Pellegrini because I think that wasn't perhaps the wisest move in hindsight.
Yeah, player ratings are a wild thing because I'm looking at him in our worst 3. Bakayoko's our worst, which, fair enough. But then right above him is Kier, Ballon d'Or nominee. And above him is Mignon, who I just picked for best of the season. So, that's interesting. But I'm going Bakayoko. He's been bad.
I was going to say, regarding signing, just to be a bit different, and we keep forgetting about him, I might say Yacine Adli, because he's smashing it so far aboard. And I think he looks like a top talent player to be like top signing for me. I know it's a bit, Mike's definitely the obvious choice, but I like what Yacine's doing. I think we've got a real talented player there on our books. I think he's a close second. I think actually I prefer it to then probably signing like Macias, for example, up in the ranking. Worst signing, I'm going Ballatore because I think he's awful, man. He's so awful. And to drop that money on him, it's different to a loan deal. Pellegrini's a loan deal. We can shaft him back off to Monaco if we want to, or wherever he's come from. Ballatore is, we've committed like 5 million to him, and I don't know, man. Not on him.
I mean, I just seen us been linked with Aaron Hickey in the last week, who's at Bologna, and he's like 19, and he's sort of been playing kind of a wing-back type thing, and, I just think, oh, God, we could have used the money a little bit wiser there. But anyway, Gian, you best and worst signing of the summer.
Ballatore actually did fairly decent against Napoli, but that was it. Every other game he's looked poor. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I'm not going to go Ballatore because I don't think he's been horrendous. I think he's been bad, but I don't think he's been horrendously bad. I'll go with Pellegrini, like Ollie said. It just seems to be the biggest waste of any form of resource that we had, and we put it in for some bizarre reason. Pellegrini there. Signing of the season, I am going to go Tomori. I get that he was here last year, but we still had to make it permanent. He's been by far our best player this year, consistently. And
Jan,
my worst side.
I'm going to say, Jan, do we pick a new player though, not Tomori or Tonali? So someone that's come in that's new this season. So Mike or Macias or maybe Yacine Adli or Florenzi. Those are probably your best options.
Best.
I mean, you've kind of got to go Magnan because he's the only starter, really. Maybe Giroud. He scored some important goals.
Oh, yeah, Giroud.
I picked him as the worst.
Maybe, but that's just to be different. He scored a few goals and he's been unlucky with injuries. But I suppose if it has to be a brand new player, then it's Magnan.
Best sale, we've got SempreMilan. Brilliant bit of business for us there, 20 million profit. Now, we'll move on to best and worst performance of the season so far. Best performance, obviously we've had some routing wins. We beat Cagliari 4-1, for example, in our first home game of the season. There's been that amazing away record that we have in terms of racking up. I think it was the joint most away wins in a calendar year. I mean, we've been fantastic away from home. There's no two ways about it. And now I'm starting to flap it a little bit in terms of our best performance of the season. It's a toss-up for me between going and winning 1-0 away at Atletico Madrid in a must-win game, keeping a clean sheet, and the fairy tale that came from that. And our most dominant performance, in my opinion, against a team with a bit of credibility at that stage was when we beat Lazio 2-0 at home. and Ibra scored on his return, because I remember we minced them. It should have been 4 or 5, you know. And I remember after the game feeling really positive about where the team was heading, and then the wave of injuries came in pretty much straight after that. So I'm going to go with the Atletico one just because it was the first win back in the Champions League.
Okay, so this is team performance. I was thinking individual player performance. So give me a second just to review our games, get it back in my head, and I think you might be
right. Go for it.
Yeah, go on. I think it's quite harsh because I think there's been moments where we obviously not gotten the results where how we've been playing were fantastic. Obviously, Atletico home game, the first half an hour was probably the best football we've ever played all season. The Atalanta game, 3-2 win. The scoreline doesn't justify the performance. I think that for me was the best game. We just got conned out 2 games later on into the fixture. And another one that I think was great for morale, which was the turnaround against Hellas Verona. 2-0 down at half time, turned it back to 3.
Shit, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but for me, I'm going to go Atalanta. I think that was the top one.
Yeah, that's good.
I think mine's going to be a 5-minute cameo performance, but the best performance the team was against Liverpool away. That 5 minutes where we completely turned it on our head and we went to, you know, a recent European champions backyard, and for 5 or 10 minutes we just played them off the park. The passing was brilliant. Every little bit of play was just fantastic to watch. So I would go that, or it'd probably be the Atletico at home for up until, you know, it went a bit sour with referee decisions. Again, that were another dominant performance, and we looked really well. We were actually giving ourselves a good account of ourselves in the Champions League.
I'm gonna say the at least individual player. When Castillejo came on and changed the game against Verona, I thought that was probably the best individual performance. Well, actually, Saelemaekers was probably the best in this last week. No, Kessie was better because he actually got goals there. Shoot, what would be the best performance? Cagliari, the 4-1.
Yeah, that was that should have been 10. We absolutely tore them a new ass. But I just look at Cagliari and think, oh my God, how bad they are this season. You know,
they're awful. So it's kind of a cheap pick, but.
There was also, I mean, this is another one where we didn't get the scoreline we deserved. The Salernitana home game was it should have been a proper rout. In previous years, and perhaps we still do a little bit, you know, games like that have been potential banana skins for us, but we've kind of run over the teams that we needed to at home. Worst performance of the season, I'm going Porto away. You know, that was when in a must-win game we completely flopped. Like, we showed absolutely nothing. Not even sure we had a shot on target in that game. And if we did, I don't remember it. It must have been pretty tame. And I think that was the big moment of realisation. We probably learnt the most from that game this season so far. Back into the Champions League, thinking Porto were the kind of whipping boys of the group, or at least a team that we could take 4 points from. And they played us off the park, to be totally honest. And I think that's when we realised other teams are just intense as us. Maybe more so. So I'll go with that.
Yeah, I think that was probably our worst performance where we actually played without mistakes, if that makes sense. Like we just got outplayed there. But for me, the Fiorentina loss is the worst one. I mean, Mike made 2 big mistakes. I think Bakayoko made a mistake. Everyone was just screwing up bad, and we just conceded so many gifts that game that it was, you know, there really was no reason for that scoreline. So I think I'm going to go with that one.
I'm going to go with. Oh, sorry.
No.
The Sassuolo game.
Yeah, same.
Horrendous.
That's what I meant.
In
I'm
that
sorry.
game,
yeah.
I'd probably say we had our worst individual performance in Romagnoli there, who was just fucking dreadful.
He got sent off as well.
Sorry, he was.
He's planted.
Biggest meme in the world. Like, this season for us.
Like, for that to happen to your club captain, wow, just shite, wasn't it? That's probably been our worst performance
pretty
of the
rough.
season for me.
Yeah, it was pretty
up there
rough.
with Porto.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fucking hell, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, there are actually quite a lot of contenders for games where we've been really flat. Like, thinking the do or die situation against Liverpool's B team and under 18s, we didn't show up, did we? Let's be totally honest. We just didn't show up. And that's a shame. I think it just shows that we've got another level to go to yet. We're nowhere near the finished product. We'll know when we've hit our level because we'll start winning those really, really important games. Not sure we're quite there yet, but we'll see. That's it. Right, now we can move on to the actual predictions that we did at the start of the season. I'm hoping that AJ's got his to hand because I didn't include them in the article, and Stefano can just laugh at us because he didn't do it. But we can just like make up what he would have said based on previous comments. So you said, Stefano, that Napoli were going to finish in the bottom three. No, we won't do that. Right, so where Milan will finish. I said third. It's worth noting that we did this on the 23rd of August, so there was still 8 days left in the transfer window. And we did bring in a couple more signings in those last 8 days. But yes, I put third. We're second at the moment, so not a million miles away there. AJ, what did you say?
I put fourth. Granted, we did all this while Ronaldo was still in the league, so that influenced a lot for me and Ollie because you picked him for goal score. But yeah, so I had fourth. Happy with second, obviously.
I put first or second, I believe.
Which is just total bollocks, by the way. We can't be picking two positions for.
Well, no, technically I put second. Technically,
yeah. So you're on course to be right there, Stefano. What would you have said on August the 23rd?
I think you can actually quote me. I've done videos of this. I said we can win the league with this squad. I fully back us winning the league. I still think it to this day.
Yeah, brilliant, cracking. Let's move on to the next one. Scudetto winner. I put Juve. Wow. I mean, I don't think that was such a massive hot take at the time. We were told by Juve fans that Ronaldo potentially leaving and stuff. At that time, it was only rumoured; it hadn't happened yet. Would be good for them. Getting Allegri back was obviously massive as well. Getting a proven winner back hasn't happened for them. So yeah, I was way off on that.
I also picked them to win it. And I had, because my predictions weren't in the article, I had to go watch the podcast where I predicted them on. And I weirdly predicted Juve to win it, and then seconds later went on a rant about how Allegri's a terrible coach and he's overrated. So I don't know what I was on, but
duality of man.
So, yes, don't ever listen to me. I'm all over the place.
I predicted Atalanta to win it or us. Again, it was a toss-up between the two. They've looked strong at times this season, but then they haven't looked anywhere near the best at times too. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on in the second half of the season. I still think they'll be up there challenging there or thereabouts.
Yeah, Milan all day.
Love that. Atalanta are a weird one. Like they were very, very close. There were like 2 points separating the top teams, and then Atalanta were there, and then there was a big gap to fifth place. And Atalanta just keep having dodgy results, but don't we all? Top four in order. I went Juve, Inter, Milan, Atalanta. If we replace Juve and just move them completely, then we might be getting somewhere with that. But I think the bottom line with that one is that I picked Inter to still have a solid year. Some people actually to my right here, there. Was picking Inter to have a massive drop off because of the players that they'd lost, but I just thought that they'd have a better transition than most thought under Inzaghi, given the way that he coaches, and they brought in some players who were of decent pedigree. Like Dzeko is by no means a terrible striker in Serie A. He's no Lukaku, but they found a way to make it work, and they're looking pretty strong, unfortunately.
Yeah, if I were to read off my top 8, I had all the teams correct. But if I read off my top
the
order's
not
it all wrong. I had Juve, Atalanta, Napoli, and I guess I got Napoli right so far, actually. But yeah, I had Inter actually in 6th, and I had Roma in 8th, which I do still feel really confident will happen. So
that's generous.
Yeah,
that's generous. Gian, what did you do?
I think I had Atalanta, Milan, either of them two, first and second. Inter, then Juve, I believe was my top 4.
I've got Juve, then Inter, but
Either, yeah.
I mean, Juve, let's be honest, Juve are not dead and buried just yet because they can sometimes have a ridiculous setting. Not in terms of winning the title, I mean, they're probably done, but they could maybe still sneak that 4th spot. Maybe.
Nah.
They should.
I mean, they stole it on the last day last season.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We've been here before with this team, man. Like, let's just be careful. they've had ridiculous second halves of the season, but they do look to be more of a dysfunctional team. And I don't think they have the money to bring anyone in January to really help them out. But
I think the Juve teams that you're talking about there were a lot more players in the prime. Allegri was first time round. I do always think there's like a second stint syndrome with any manager that goes back to a former club. I don't think it always works out. And the league's a lot more competitive now to what it was when Juve could lose the first 10 games of the season and probably come back and win it in the other 28. It's just a different league since Juve could do that kind of stuff. I don't see him getting top 4 now.
Fair. Stefano, what would you have gone as your top 4?
I can't find I done a tweet actually where I predicted for the whole league, but I can't find it. I've always said Juventus weren't going to make it. As in the moment they sold Ronaldo. I think since I backed Milan, I'd say Milan. I didn't really put too much hope on Inter. I think I put like Milan, Atalanta, Napoli and Inter or something like that. Or maybe like I was a bit premature and I said like Milan, Atalanta, Roma and Inter. Yeah, something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. You definitely said Roma and you've tried to blend it in there as if you didn't mention it at all.
I will back my Juventus thing to this day. Juventus, I've always said that, man. They're trash.
Yeah, fair. No, I respect that. Did a best of the rest, which was like 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I put Lazio, Napoli, and Roma. That's rough because Lazio are like mid-table. I don't really want to talk too much about that, but Gian, I mean, you put Fiorentina in there, and
which isn't
that's
a bad
good
shout.
No, that's looking like a good shout.
It's just a shame I didn't have Napoli in my top 7. God knows what
Napoli were finishing.
I didn't think they were going to get top 7. I mean, it's still possible with AFCON that they could have a serious drop-off and find themselves,
match fixing, docked points. Yeah,
just happen, Maradona comes back from the grave and just tears them apart and ruins
his brother died actually earlier today.
There it is. That's the last bit of Napoli having any relevance, so they're fucked.
Oh wow! Okay, I would just jump to mine then. I had Lazio
joking,
5th.
Sorry.
Lazio 5th, Inter 6th, and Fiorentina 7th. So, I'm not too good. Yeah.
Look, I mean, we all make mistakes. That's it, It's hard to predict these things 8 days before the window shuts. We can all use that excuse, don't worry. Stefano, what would you have gone as your 5th, 6th and 7th place team? Be good if you had found the table for this, but you can just
based on my table, I think it was Juventus at 5th. And then I think rule of subtraction, I think I then put Lazio 6th and then Napoli 7th. So yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. It's always tough. It's good though that the league's this competitive where it's not.
That's great.
It's really good. Relegated teams. I put Spezia, Venezia, Salernitana. Does anyone actually have the bottom 3?
I put. Oh, you mean the real bottom 3?
No, go on. You say yours, and I'll get the table.
Okay. I put Spezia, Salernitana, and Genoa, and I think that is
2 out of 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's got to be close to spot on.
Spezia, though, are 1 place above the drop zone. Venezia are 2 above it, so it could still get interesting. But at the moment, we've got Salernitana bottom. Obviously, they're awful, potentially the worst Serie A team I've seen. Cagliari and then Genoa. So it might be Genoa's year. Cheva's just not had the impact, has he?
Have you got the article there? Because I can't remember what my 3 were.
I do indeed. Gian, you put Salernitana, Empoli, Genoa. So you might be 2 out of 3, but the one that you got wrong is way off the mark.
Way off. I think that's because Cutrone hadn't signed at that point.
Yeah,
could be wrong. That's definitely what it was.
I'm just looking down here, and I'm gonna expose some people. Maxiangelo also picked Empoli to go down, but also Hellas Verona. So,
yeah, but he knows nothing about football.
He was wild with that one.
He just tweets well.
Rohit, he just tweets coherently. Rohit picked Empoli to go down as well, so let's just fire into them. What would you have picked, Steph?
I mean, similar names, other than one that's not been mentioned is probably Vicenza. Venezia, sorry, not Vicenza.
Vicenza are in Serie C, so that would be quite impressive for them to go down.
Technically, they're already down.
I've always backed Venezia just because they got cool kits. Doesn't mean they're a good team, and they're doing semi-okay this season. But I still think they're in the mix. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. as long as Brescia get promoted again, then that would be great. Back to Serie A, because then I can just pick them to get relegated again next season. It's a sure bet. Right, Milan's top scorer. I picked Olivier Giroud. A prediction based around
Combined
the idea
Milan
that
and league.
Yeah. Based around the idea that Ibrahimovic will miss games due to injury again. So yeah, I was probably banking on him being fit and Ibra not being fit. Gian, you picked Giroud as well. Just while I
laughed at you because I did not realise I picked Giroud. What a fool!
No, I just thought friendly fire there.
Yeah, no. To be fair, probably stay fit this second half of the season. I'll still back that as him finishing our top goal scorer.
Could happen. It's a bit of a cluster. Could even be Kessie if Ibra has another load of injuries. AJ, what did you go?
I put Zlatan for Milan and Immobile for the league. I think I'm right. Yeah. Zlatan's definitely right, and I think Chiro's in second behind Vlahovic.
Yeah, I put Immobile for the league.
It's going to be Vlahovic, isn't it? I mean, he's running away with it at this stage. Also, must say, for the league top scorer, and a guy that we haven't talked about as being a potential signing, I love Giovanni Simeone, man. He's banging them in. And he's doing really well, and I think he'd be a good fit for us, but it hasn't been linked yet, so we need to see what happens there. Stefano, who would you have picked?
Saelemaekers, you know that.
Yeah, you'd have been way off, but
I see what me and Gian were like messaging each other at the start of the season. We're like, I can't wait for him to get in double figures goals in the season.
Saelemaekers is going to finish the season with less goals than he currently has in the season. Salernitana is getting kicked.
Yeah,
I just love that I love the extent of Gian and Stefano's private conversations being just creaming over how good a Saelemaekers is going to play for the next few games. Oh, God. Yeah, we'll edit them in.
Cream than what's in this room currently.
It's a lot of cream. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Right, what was... we must be near the next one now. Top scorer, I put Immobile or Ronaldo, and then Ronaldo got sold because obviously at that point it was rumoured. Gian, you put Immobile as well. Stefano, what would you have gone for the league? Saelemaekers as well?
I don't know. I probably, like Immobile. Easy pick, probably. I kind of, to be fair, I would say I've been a bit harsh with Vlahovic. I kind of thought he was going to have a Piontek season, where it was the first season and then smashed it, and then the second season. But he's been phenomenal this season. So,
most assists for Milan and for the league. We'll do this combined. I went with Ante Rebic. I don't even know who's top at the moment. So let me just have a look.
Put him for both.
I put Ante Rebic for Milan, and in Serie A, I put Federico Chiesa. Fuck me.
You were drunk from the Euros.
I think. Wait till you hear how bad my picks were. I put Brahim for both Milan and league.
Teo's top right now, I think.
Yeah. So we've got Teo first with 5, Brahim second with 4, Saelemaekers third with 3, and then we've got Leao with 2, Rebic with 2. So basically, it's still all to play for there, isn't it? Really. Yeah, we can't draw any conclusions from that.
I think I went Brahim for Milan and Dybala for the league.
You did. I think that's correct.
Anyone want to point out who top of the league is right now? Good old Hakan Çalhanoğlu.
Is it really? Oh,
he's also the highest rated player for the season in the league right now.
Who?
Çalhanoğlu.
Who?
Don't know who you mean. Never heard of him.
That guy that's got a tattoo with number 10 on his arm when he wears a number 20.
That's the one. Yeah.
That guy. Sorry. Yeah, that guy.
He got that in honour of his late friend Brahim Diaz, who has been missing since COVID. So hopefully we get him back soon.
It's the number of partners his wife has had since they got married.
Oh, damn.
Moving on. Okay.
Bing bong.
Good.
Bing bong.
Hey, yo, Paul. Stefano, would you go for?
Saelemaekers, isn't it? It's got to be. So, goals and assists. So.
Right, yeah. And for the league?
I would go for the league. Probably Saelemaekers again, isn't it? I don't know. I'm riding that way. Yeah. Riding that way, if you can.
So I mean,
Just so the
You
trolls
got
on
the power
Twitter.
of hindsight, and you're still not using it.
I'll be honest.
Chiesa got 3 mentions in this. Malinowski got a mention, which I think was a fair shout. Mkhitaryan got a shout for that as well. Max, he said Luis Alberto as well. So, I mean, nobody picked Hakan. And he's not going to stay there, is he? Let's face it. Right, Milan's player of the season. I went with Teo Hernandez. It's just not happened for him, has it, since he had COVID, but I can't really say much more other than that. Second half of the season, I think still take that.
I guess he has had a semi-decent season. Top assist. He's scored a couple of goals. I think we just put him to such high standards that we think he's not performing well. But
he did lose us the
horrendous.
Fiorentina game, though. We had it 3-3, and then we had it 3-2, I think, and then he conceded one. Yeah, but I mean, that was a team effort to lose that game.
It was a real collective chip in to make sure we fucked that. Yeah.
I put Kessie for my player of the season, and he is the Who Scored player of the season so far for us. So.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer the eye test, but if you want to, do that, then that's fine.
I put Tomori, I believe.
Mm-hmm. You did, and I'm giving
that's
you
who
a
I
tip
picked
for
in
that
real
so
life
far.
For at this point. Like today, I picked him as the current best. Yeah,
fair. Breakout. Oh yeah, sorry, Stefano. Who would you have said?
Oh, Tomori as well. I would have said Tomori, even though.
So you were going to pick Salah as top goals and assists, but you're not best player of the season.
It's kind of like putting up like Michael Jordan numbers, and he's been picked to player of the season.
He's like the Dark Knight, isn't it? He's not the hero we need. He's the hero we want to be right now. He can't have all the glory, unfortunately. So it's Tomori.
He can.
Breakout player of the season will skip mine. Just go straight to it.
Who did you say? Pellegrini?
No, I picked Gabia. I thought that
that's with Iconi.
Man.
That's funny. I put Tonali for mine, and I'm okay with that. I think it probably in reality was Leao at this point.
Yeah,
but I picked Tonali, and I think I'm okay with that.
That's good.
I went with. Originally, I was going to pick Leao, but I think he had enough minutes last year to kind of not class this as a breakout season. I guess step it up a notch, but I went with Maldini, and I've said in the chat before, I'm not too angry with that. He's chipped in with a goal and assist in, 130-something minutes of play, so I'll take that.
Yeah, I would have said, I did the video, I said Tonali and Brahim were going to break out season, so Brahim Diaz kind of a bit of form, but Tonali, backs that. So,
Diaz kind of had like a breakout week.
He had like a first half. He had a breakout first half of the first season. So first quarter of the season, he was like mint. He was really good. And,
I think the only breakout he had was an acne breakout. Thanks, Steph. Appreciate that.
Right, let's do a couple of questions then to finish it off because I've seen the time and
just a few because my laptop is about to die. So
no, we'll do like 2. Okay. All right. There's a lot of questions about the January window, so let's quickly do key position to strengthen. I think we all know is centre back. Who do we like out of the targets that we've been linked with so far? The names are Botman, Bremer. Abdou Diallo seems to be the new one from PSG. I kind of liked him at Dortmund, but he struggled since he moved to PSG, really, for 28 million. I still want Botman, man. I just hope there's a way we can work that out. But if Newcastle are willing to pay up front, they're selling to them over us because we need a 4-year loan with option to buy based on, what if it's cloudy that day and all that kind of shit to afford a player of over 30 million. Boys, who do we want?
Yeah, I said Botman, and you can check my tweets. I said I wanted Botman before we even got linked to him. So I'm
Thiago Giallo.
I did say that too, and I would love that. Either of the center backs from Lille.
No, that'd be good.
I'll go with Botman. I want us to say clear of Diallo because I don't understand it with him being part of the Senegal setup.
The other Diallo.
It'd make no sense to sign someone that's not going to be here for the first month. Potentially, so it depends how far Senegal get. So yeah, I'll go with Botman. Just anyone at this moment in time. So that the breakout player doesn't get any more minutes this season in Gabia.
Okay. I mean, then he would leave on loan and it'd all be null and void. So I would take that as well. Yeah.
Centre back. To be different, I like Christensen from Chelsea. I think he's great. He had a great Euros. He's been really good for Chelsea since Tuchel took over. He knows Kaya. So yeah, I mean, I like Christensen, but I do like Botman, left-footed centre back. Yeah. I agree with Gian with this other Jallo guy from PSG. Like, what's the point? Like, he's going to be gone for a month and a half. You know, they got to do 10 days quarantine once they come back from the AFCON. What's the point, honestly? But then typically we'd sign someone like him because we do that in the past. There's always a catch to signing a player. There's always, you signed him, but he's not with you for another month and a half. It's like, oh, great.
Right. And I think a part of the thought process, at least from Milan being cheap point of view, is he's going to be gone for a month. So PSG might be willing to lower price. Yeah. And he's played left back for a good portion of his career. So I think that gives us that double coverage, which we're very big on lately.
He also has played defensive midfield this season as well. And it just made me wonder, is there a sort of double positional thing there where we think, he can do a job on two fronts for us? Yeah. But still, he's not going to be there, isn't he? Like, what's cover when he's away at the same competition as the two guys who we'd need cover for? Not good.
I think with Christensen, obviously, he has also played with Tamori, so that's a more natural fit.
And Kier.
And Kier, but that's not very helpful.
Well, Botman's also played with Mignon, so there's that too.
Yeah, there's links. There's little FIFA links you can sort of combine with chemistry. So,
yeah,
they got the green link.
Yeah, the green link.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't sound like, just as an update on the transfer front, it doesn't sound like we're going to be terminating either of Pobega or Adley's loans early to get a bit of midfield cover. I think we're just going to go with it. I think that's a bit of a risk, but I don't think our strategies are necessarily defined. What are we on now? 5 days before the window even opens. Situations are fluid. I think we'll see what comes up. We'll see what happens. Do we need a striker?
The article today said that Bordeaux does not want Adley to leave in January, which is obvious, but to me that suggests that there's talks of us doing that. Otherwise, why would they say we don't want him to go?
No, that's fair. Whenever something filters officially from the club, I think that proves that there's a bit of credibility about the rumor. That's them leaking out saying, no, don't even think about it, kind of thing. But
exactly.
They're in a relegation battle. So I think we mentioned it when we were talking in the chat. Could player power, play a part here? Is he going to want to stay and help them because they let him leave, or is he going to want to leave because he doesn't want to be part of that shit show for the rest of the season? We'll see. Yeah. We'll see if that has a play. Keep being linked with a load of strikers. The latest is Luis Muriel and also Bito of Udinese, who I really like. I think he's been very good this season in a team that historically doesn't score many goals. And he was good against us. And he was good in the game before that against Lazio. Like him. Muriel, we know, is a proven goal scorer in Serie A. Looks like he's going to be pushed out of Atalanta because Boga's going there and they've got plenty of forwards as it is. Only problem is Atalanta aren't going to want to sell to us, a direct rival in the top four. And also he's 30 and he is kind of injury prone, to be honest. He does get these muscle injuries. So,
it's a weird option there. If he came, I think he'd be the perfect striker off the bench. That's where he's always performed for Atalanta. He's got pace, he's quick, and bringing that in late game when people are tired is always a good recipe. So I actually would like that, just given the way Giroud's gone and Pellegri's gone. But it wouldn't be a long-term deal. It'd have to be, a 1.5-year contract or something, or 2-year max.
I really like Muriel. I think he'd be a perfect signing, but I don't think he's going to come here to sit on the bench, and I don't think we're going to give him a starting role. I still think Giroud and Ibra are before him in a pecking order if Pioli's got all three available. So I just can't see him leaving Atalanta to come sit on our bench, and the fee that we'd have to pay to get him here, I can't see us spending that on a backup striker. I think I actually believe that we stay with the attack that we've got, or you invest, whoever you're going to invest in the summer for that starting role, you do it in January, or we just keep the attack that we've got up until the start of next season. Because playing once a week, as long as our players are fit, there's no reason why that attack isn't good enough to see us out till the end of the season. We've got enough options there, and I know it's all ifs and buts if they stay fit, but then again, you could bring in a striker and they could get injured on day one and be out for the rest of the season. But as it stands, I don't think that's our priority right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some nice striker profiles there. Like I do like is it Beto from Udinese? It's fine. I just think we need a player ideally that can take on with speed, and he's got a bit of speed about him. But I like we've mentioned players like Julian Alvarez before, someone who can play a false nine, a bit more different than a one-dimensional centre forward. Rebic is coming back even as well. So it's I agree with Jan. I don't think we're going to target because we have enough to play the rest of the season, one game a week, whether it is, with the attack, obviously pending there isn't a fucking injury crisis again. Enough to get through it. It all kind of really depends on how much we have to work with. Are we going to spend money on a centre back? Is there any money spare to go? I just think if any player we're going to sign in the attacking front is going to be someone who can play in maybe as a cam, centre attacking mid, or supporting striker. That isn't just, that's your one position and that's all you can do, because then what's the point?
I think it'll be towards the end of January where we bring in someone on loan, and I'm thinking of someone like Timo Werner, not going to get a lot of game time at Chelsea. When it comes to the end of January, if he's feeling that way, someone like him, maybe Martial.
I was just about to say,
but again,
going on a dry loan to Sevilla, where Sevilla are only paying half of his salary. I mean, we should be all over something like that. He'd rip Serie A apart. There's a good player in there somewhere. And, I don't know. I just think there is a loan opportunity.
We have done it in the past where, I always look at the move we got for Cassano when we won the Scudetto. That was someone who, at his position at his current club, was, wanted out. The club wanted him out. Maybe kind of similar to what you're seeing with Muriel and Fiorentina. There is that sort of disharmony that, is probably best for both parties if he moves elsewhere. But obviously, back then when we got Cassano from, I think it was Sampdoria at the time, they were happy to sell him to us, whereas Atalanta are direct rivals. I think there can be opportunities in the market for us to get an unwanted player like Martial or Muriel, and then give him some playing time, and that might be the tipping point what we need to go for the league. But it's all maybe late into the window, late into January in that case. But
if I'm Maldini, and I know that these discussions probably happen on a daily or weekly basis, but I'm going to Elliot and saying, look, how the account's looking. How much money am I going to have to spend in January, and how much am I going to have to spend in the summer, roughly? In transfer fees and wages combined, maybe whatever. And then if he finds out that he's got 40 mil to go and spend on a striker in the summer, then you can delay that investment a little bit. But if we're going to be scrimping and saving in both transfer windows, you might have to get creative and start looking at loan formulas and stuff.
They've got to kind of look at it as spend that money now, because I think we've got top four secured, but not only will the Scudetto bring a bit more money in, we get the favourable Champions League pot, which probably means we're going to go through to the knockouts, which obviously means more money. And it's just stuff like that you've got to kind of preempt and plan for, but you've got to invest to get to that. And they've got to show a bit of faith in Maldini, Pioli, Massara, and just give them what they want. But I would say the next addition that comes in up front has to be the permanent solution for the next 10 years. And it needs to be a Rebic type of player for me. A more rounded finisher, not saying that Rebic is a bad finisher, a younger version, a little bit of a nasty bugger that can just, irritate strikers, will run all day for years, got a bit of skill about him. Just that type of profile we need to go for, and that has to be our next big investment up front.
I'm putting it out there again. Darwin Núñez from Benfica, just spend whatever it takes to get him, man.
I was going to say, regarding two strikers, I've been hearing a lot upon. Look, if anyone says Aubameyang for a solution, man, I need to get out of it, man. Awful, man. I just don't want players with that mentality. One player I do think we should look to go and snatch up in the summer is Origi for Liverpool, free transfer.
Yeah.
I think he's great. He's such a good centre forward to add to this sort of ensemble that we have.
And he's used to a pressing system. Yeah, that's terrible. Right, two more really quick, promise.
My laptop's at 5%. I think we got in. Sorry. I mean,
one guy suggested the Curva Stud send a message to Kessie by just doing a banner with his quotes from the Olympics. Like that.
That's
that is
actually a great idea.
That is a heavyweight admin battle. That Curva Sud versus Kessie. I would love that.
You know these quotes for the Olympics? Is there actually a video of him talking and saying it? Like, are the quotes genuinely credible? Because
I don't think he's ever come out and denied it, though. He's never come out and denied that's what he said. I think he maybe just said something in emotion, or maybe at that point the talks were going well and he was confident that stuff was going to get done. And then his agent said, by the way, PSG will pay you 10 million a year. And he's like,
well, he got a new agent after those comments.
Nah, he's always had that in Ghana.
Yeah. He's a family friend.
That's the thing, he's a family friend. He's never going to bin his agent off. Yeah, his agent's always been at Ghana.
Oh. Did someone do that? I could have sworn someone got a new agent.
Ronaldo just got a new agent.
Yeah, Romagnoli also binned his agent off for Raiola.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Yeah, thank you if you made it this far. It's been a long one, but, hope you enjoyed it. Festive ramblings and all that. Hope everybody who listens to this had a fantastic festive period and has a happy new year, because the next episode will be in big 2022. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, thanks for joining.
Yep. Glad to be here. I may not be next week. If I am, great, but I definitely won't be there for the following one. I'm going to be at Milan Roma, so you'll see pictures on my Twitter, so look there if you want to see that. But going to have an absence coming up.
Gian?
Yeah, I'll be back next week, all being well. So.
And I hope you recover from COVID in the meantime.
Thank you.
Steph?
And I've been your host of the Alexis Saelemaekers fan club. It's been a pleasure.
Jan might dispute that, but nonetheless, thank you for listening, everybody. If you want to check out our merchandise store, that would be great. All proceeds help. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. And
eccolo Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono.